What kind of sick person do you have to be to read 19 pages of tiny italicized text from Apple?
And you don't know what them words mean. You don't know the words.
What are you talking about, Tim Cook? I don't want to read your writing. Are you fucking kidding me? Give me my phone. I got hoes to text, Tim.
Absolutely. They are awaiting my ping.
Sure. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another spectacular, devastating, hilarious episode of My Mama Told Me, the podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories, and we finally prove that in the year 2000, Bugle Boy Jeans put a very slow hit out on Trick Daddy, and that is the sole reason his life has been continuously falling apart. He said some mean shit about Bugle Boy Jeans, he made them feel like some hoes, and they've been trying to kill my man Trick Daddy ever since. We know what you're up to, Bugle Boy Jeans. We'll never let it happen to our Lord and Savior, Trick Daddy. He loves kids, and we love him. Trick Daddy, we're here for you. I'm your host, Langston Kerman, as always. I don't know why I feel so passionately about Trick Daddy and Bugle Boy Jeans. It's what I live for. I wake up every day and I check in on my boy Trick and make sure that he's doing just fine. I suppose my guest today probably also has feelings about Trick Daddy. I don't know if she's pro Trick Daddy or anti Trick Daddy.
Trick love the kids.
Trick loves the kids, and I believe that my guest today loves the kids as well. She's hilarious. She's one of my favorite people. You know her from Southside. She's a writer, and she plays Officer Turner on Southside. Breakout goddamn star. You know her. You love her. Give it up for my guest, Chandra Russell.
Ooh, hi, thank you, applause. It's so warm. Yes.
Yeah. It feels good in your heart.
It does.
Yes. A little applause. We all need it.
Right. And it's early in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, it's 10 o'clock. I wouldn't call this early. This is standard
and
time.
You know, it's even ghettoer. It's noon for me because I'm in Chicago. So.
Wow. So you don't even get to call it morning.
I'm
Your
a
whole
mom.
last day is done. Talking about some morning. It's early in the morning.
Dude, ever since I had a kid, everything's like, I'm a mom, bro. I'm a mom. I was up.
Sure. Time doesn't exist the same way that it does for us free people.
Exactly. True.
That's fair. Okay, I'm excited because you came to us today with I would say a conspiracy theory that I've felt in my heart of hearts to be true, but I've never done the work to really unpack in any kind of way. It's just something that I've sort of like whispered amongst my friends and family, but I'm so happy that we get to unpack it today. You said, my mama told me.
Ancestry.com and all the various genealogy companies are government scams to collect Black people's DNA for nefarious purposes.
Facts.
Okay. All right.
Deborah Russell has
Yes.
been saying this for years. Okay.
Love it.
She, because when I was thinking about other stuff that was like, okay, more fun, but I was like, no, this is like dead ass my mom's conspiracy theory. Like, and she's full of them. But I feel like it makes sense because if you Black and you lived through the 60s and 70s and 80s and you don't believe in conspiracy theories, then you might be a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what happened to you that you ain't bought in on the idea of the government doing some mean shit to Black people?
Right. So this one, I mean, she's been holding to for so long. Like, I feel like when it first started popping, I really wanted to do it. And I was like, oh, we should do it as a family because they say everybody should do it together, right? That's how you get the most, genomes.
Oh, hold on. And I'll say this.
So that's how they get you.
That's how they get you. They say everybody's got to do it. It can't just be one family member. We're going to need your whole family bought in.
Right. And so I was trying to hurry up and do it while I still had one grandparent alive. I was like, well, we need to do it while Granny's still here. You know what I'm saying? She got dementia. She don't know shit. She can't tell us who nobody is. So, We need that swab. And my mom, she was just like, absolutely not. Like, I refuse. She's like, well, what's the government gonna do with that DNA? And I'm like, well, Ma, they already have your DNA, I'm sure. And she's like, no, not like this. Not like this.
Not that sweet mouth swab. They got some of it, but they ain't got nothing voluntary that I just handed over.
Right. And then get my children, my husband, my siblings, gave everybody shit. And, and she just been sticking to like, look, the government's going to take that DNA, and put that shit everywhere. Like,
sure.
Everywhere.
This is exciting. So let's unpack a little bit of the everywhere that she's imagining. When you say everywhere, meaning that they're going to be like planting her DNA?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That is like, dude, that is like her OG, because I checked in with her about it like the other day. I'm like, look, I'm about to go on. I'm about to tell people what you be talking about. Are you cool? And she's like, yes. And she's like, the big thing is they're going to be taking that DNA and they're going to be planting it on, all types of crime scenes, all types of places you never were. Because, she's like, right now, the biggest thing people have is like, oh, there's no DNA evidence. I wasn't there. She's like, well, now you basically gave them the shit they need.
Right. You've equipped them with the possibility of, that a bank got robbed. Well, guess what? Miss Russell is the person who robbed the bank because she did the DNA test and she gave them all the equipment to be able to prove she was there.
Right. And I don't know why, she's so concerned that people are after her. You know what I'm saying? I don't,
yeah. What did your mom do that she's like constantly worried that somebody's trying to blackmail her?
I'm always concerned, because people do have full lives before they have you, parents were people before. And I'm like, Mom, what type of shit were you into? Because I've always known you'd be a first lady. She does anti-racism work. I mean, she does do anti-racism work, so they could be. They could.
There we go. Okay, now we're connecting some dots here. So your mother works in a profession against the very idea of racism, which we know historically the government is not a big fan of.
Damn.
The government does not like it when Black people are like, please stop being mean to us. And so subsequently, she has every right to be afraid that they would pick her out and do something horrible to her because of her community.
Damn, and she has been down for 20 years. I have to call Deb up after this and be like, you was right. They on your ass.
Sure. Okay, so I like where we're going with this. I wonder when she originally said it to you, when she goes, no, I ain't doing that because the government, blah, blah, blah. Were you immediately bought into this? What was your reaction to this news?
I mean, initially I was bummed, right? Because I feel like just like as an African American, like obviously we have a culture, but it's a culture that we have created over years. You know what I'm saying? And we took scraps, ashes, beatings and made the hot shit that the whole world wanted to dance to, right? But like I have so many, friends that are like African and stuff, and they have like actual culture and shit. They have like holidays and rituals, and I don't know, I wanted to feel connected to something.
Right. You want to be Cape Verdean. You want to know where your shit's from.
Right. I want to be like, I'm go-go people. I want to fucking try.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is the time. This is the moment. And when she, shut that shit down, I was bummed, but I was like, my mom does have the points though.
Right.
So I paused, like, because I could have just went and did it on my own, right? But then that did get me to start thinking. I'm like, damn, what the fuck are they doing with this DNA? Like,
right. That's the thing, is that at the end of the day, I do genuinely believe, I guess I kind of believe that they are giving us information from the DNA, right? But like, then you just have it. Then you just have it, and you have a shit ton of information about me that I otherwise didn't know. And you just keep that information. So I'm just meant to believe that you just put that in a database and left it the fuck alone.
Right. I've seen enough, superhero movies to know that right. The real money isn't fucking with the government, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, Facebook
Sure.
money ain't in getting you friends. This is selling your shit. You know?
Right. Mark Zuckerberg's passion isn't for me to reconnect with the chick I was kind of hot for in high school.
Right.
His real passion is for taking that connection and then selling it to somebody who can then market it. And maybe it's just selling me and that lady some tickets to an event that we can go to and bump into each other and get horny together. Or alternatively, it could be selling my information to like spies who are then going to like do something very horrible and scary to me and that girl.
Absolutely. And side note, Mark Zuckerberg's other passion is ruining high school reunions, because he ruined my 10-year reunion because nobody fucking went, because everybody was like, oh, I saw you on Facebook. And I was very excited to go. So all of y'all should be ashamed, because I looked very good and I was excited. Okay, assholes. Anyway.
Wait. So you show up at this 10-year reunion, you did it big, you got all your fancy clothes on, and nobody's there because they were all just like, nah, I'm good.
I did not go because we had a whole Facebook group about it, and it was only 2 people committed. My graduating class was like almost 700 people.
Wow.
It was 2 people talking about going. And then one dude, he was like a club promoter. He had tried to co-opt the reunion, mix it in with his cousin's birthday party, and have us do it at the club where he worked, and was like charging like $20. They had like a dress code. We was like, the fuck? What?
I love that. I love that it's the high school reunion / my cousin's birthday party. What a great
And the cousin
mix.
was like 3 years younger than us. I'm like, this motherfucker wasn't even in our class. Like, why are we celebrating with him?
What is he for? Who is he? Who this man?
Right. So since wasn't nobody going, I didn't want to be the third person showing up, but I was tight. I was in town and everything. I was ready.
Man. Okay. So you're disappointed when your mom tells you that she doesn't want to do this.
Yes.
Do you think there's something that could happen that could convince your mother that this is not the case? I'm curious about that, because having worked around racial justice, having been a woman who grew up in the 60s, 70s, is there anything you think that could happen that would give her comfort about sharing her DNA with these companies?
No. No. Because I've tried to circle back, multiple times. And mind you, when she first said, like, I never did the research until preparing for this. And like, since doing the research, now I'm a little more like, she right. Could be a crackhead.
Could be a crackhead.
But I've definitely circled back like multiple times. Like when they got that evolved version that was like, oh, we're going to take you to, your actual tribe. Because, they get better and better every year. And, and I was like, Mom, like they're going to give you the tribe. And she was like, how the fuck they know?
Right.
I didn't know these tribes. Who these tribes? How? How far back can they go? She said, nah.
See, that's the part that I struggled with in all of this, because I don't actually know that I've done enough stuff for them to benefit from using my DNA. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that, like, your mom obviously is like murdered people and like that's her thing. But like for me, I don't know that like I'm going to be their main target. But the thing that I always question is exactly what she said. How the fuck do they know? Because the reality is white people don't know that much about Black culture, and we live next to them. You're going to tell me that you've like unpacked the details of these obscure African tribes that like you ain't studied this shit, and it's all, your whole staff is a bunch of white people. How the fuck do y'all know?
Right. And see, and that is the gag of like how they're trying to convince you that they need those older people's DNAs, especially like people of color, right? Because I have a friend who's like, Filipino and stuff, and like she was like, they're always like sending me shit, like emailing her, like because they want like this tribal DNA, know. And this, I don't know, something about that shit just feels very, very sus.
Hell yeah.
Because like a lot of these, people, they want to be left alone. They don't want no more white interactions, okay?
Right.
They had enough, okay?
And that's the other layer of it, is that every time they send this shit back, there's nothing but it's always like, hey, you're 30% this thing, but guess what? You secretly are 8% this weird thing that you didn't know you were. Look at you half Polish. And it's like, bitch, hold on. So you just threw in some extra shit that I wasn't really asking for, which means that you don't actually know what I am. This is just like the closest you could guess based off the database you have. You know what I mean? That like, You just got a whole bunch of Polish DNA sitting around, and you're like, I don't know, it looks the same. Let's just tell him he got some Polish up in
Let
him.
me throw this shit on this dude. You know what I'm saying? He look like he be into that. He like
Right.
Polish people. Well, let me tell you. So my nephew, my older brother's son, him and his mom, they did do a test, right? And we actually, see, I'm glad this whole moment came up because it allowed us to discover this as a family because we didn't know really, this happened. And my brother knew, but he hadn't said anything. And so my nephew, who is 11, 12, I don't know, the kids, I get tricky. But,
the boy is growing.
He grown. He's a man now. You know what I'm saying? He's a man. Running around putting on deodorant and shit. I'm like, what?
What? You know how to do that? Good for you, man.
I'm so proud of him. He really does keep up with the smell goods. I'm like,
oh, that's good.
I'm proud.
Yeah.
Boys be stinking around that age. But so he did it, and he told my brother, like, oh, I found out on my dad's side, on my paternal side, I'm 2% Asian. So I'm like, okay, so that makes my brother 4% Asian. We have the same parents. I'm 4% Asian. I'm like, I do not feel very Asian. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know he's saying it, but I am not feeling Asian today.
I don't know. I'm like, bruh. And that shit made me feel like, and I was like, I asked myself, I said, so what kind of Asian? He said, I don't know, just Asian. I'm like, okay, what's a whole bunch?
Oh, you mean that massive fucking continent that like literally could be anything from, a fucking Indian person to a Vietnamese person? Like it doesn't mean anything until you unpack the specific details. And again, I think that's part of the scam that they're running. Is like, we don't know what this shit is. We've never recognized this before in our lives, but we know your goofy ass don't know where you're from, so we'll just tell you you're Asian. See what happens.
My nephew running around, he thinking he Asian now. You know what I'm saying? He's geeked. He's excited. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ran around, he's like, we the Asians. I'm like, all right. We the Asians, 4%. Like, what? And then, 4% obviously is like, feels like an insignificant amount, right? But then that means, okay, one of my parents, potentially, 8%. It just keeps doubling. And like somewhere along the line, there would need to be a full Asian person. Now, I have a picture of my mother's grandparents and all of their kids. Yep. They are black, like sharecropping, angry faced. You know how all them pictures of black people, back in the day, very angry looking. You know what I'm saying?
Just that humming underneath every picture. Just,
You know what I'm saying? And they look like they all whoop ass, aggressively, definitely get a switch type people.
Sure.
I'm like, ain't no Asian in these motherfuckers.
Ain't no Asian in there. And and I would argue, and this is where I start getting real conspiratorial, because I would argue that the reason that they told your nephew that he's 2% Asian is because they're secretly trying to undermine his connection to his black roots. They're making him feel like his black experience is less valuable, and therefore being like, hey, but you're a little Asian in there. And then somehow this nigga feels special because he got some Asian mixed in that. It's violence against the black community. And I'll hear nothing more of this Asian bullshit.
Langston, you might be my mama's son. Where is she right now? She would be in the back like, go off. Yes. I mean, that's deep. That's deep.
They try to trick us. I've said this before. I think that even like the pitch of black excellence is a scam that white people ran on us, where they tried to convince us that like by being closer to whiteness in some kind of way, we were exceptional. When in fact, we were pretty dope before, when it wasn't like, compared to anybody else. Let's just be dope instead of like qualifying it as like, well, that's different than the black that we've known all this time. That's something special. It's unique in some kind of way.
Well, see, and to bringing up the proximity to whiteness like that has been also on a personal level for me, one of the reasons why I have been kind of hesitant as well, just because like I'm very light skinned, right? And
I've noticed.
You saw that? And because I'm in the Midwest, I'm getting paler and paler, honey. Oh my God, it's just it's a problem. And so I know like when I take it, I'm like, it's probably all this like white is gonna jump out on the page, and then I'm not gonna be feeling all the way good, about that. Like, I don't know if I want that shit, you know, and because right now all I know is black. My parents is black, they parents is black, they parents is black. I don't know no white people. You know, I got a lot of cousins who now got white women and stuff, you know.
Sure.
I hope they don't hear this.
It's being introduced, but that's the future. That ain't
right.
that's not
some
the
kids.
past.
You know, that's the kid. I don't know that. You know, I don't have none of that. And so I feel like when I take that test, because like mad of my like light skinned friends, they come back with all this shit and they're like, oh, did you know I'm Sicilian? And I'm like, no, I knew you was a nigga who's light skinned. Like, what, I don't know about your Sicilian heritage. Like,
and to that point, they're not giving you that information and then providing you with like a chance to build relationships in Sicily, where like now you get to connect back to your home or feel more in place with the Sicilian community. All you get is a sheet of paper that says I'm Sicilian, and then you got to go out like a dumbass and tell people that, and they go, you ain't Sicilian, motherfucker, you eat grits, and then that's just your life now. It's just a grit eating motherfucker who's telling people he's Sicilian like an idiot.
Right. But what they are doing though, like maybe it's 23andMe has like that partnership with Airbnb, and it's like, hey, go explore your roots, right?
Yep.
So and it's for black people. I feel like it's particularly offensive, right? Because it's like you took away all my shit, right? You took away my language, you took away any connection, and then you finna sell it back to me, charge me all this bread to go travel to these exotic places. And I'm going to get over there and I'm going to be waiting to be welcomed home and nobody going to give a fuck about me. You know, I'll be like, hi, I'm here. I'm home. Like,
that's exactly right. You're showing up expecting to feel at home in a place that is not your home. And the only reason they're making it your home is because they have a partnership with Airbnb that ensures that they get more money on the back end by your goofy ass traveling over there.
Right.
That's it. That it's your home for 3 days because that's what you could afford to pay for in going to whatever country they tricked you into believing you.
And you're gonna come back with, you know, some keychains, some beaded necklaces, you know, just some shit off the street. You know, you're gonna hand it out to all your friends, like my people made this, you know, y'all have this, and then that's gonna be the end of it. You know,
and your people don't even wear that shit back home. You know what I mean? It's not like my wife and I just came back from Mexico and we were in Isla Mujeres, which is like a tiny little island by Cancun, whatever. And like you're walking around there and they're selling you all this shit. And every shop is selling a version of the exact same thing to tourists. And not one of the people in that city, in that little town, are wearing any of that stuff because it's junk. It doesn't mean anything to them. It's just trinkets.
They're not wearing the beaded choker that says Mexico.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I got a bunch of them from Belize. I got them from every place. Ain't nobody wearing that shit.
No, ain't nobody wearing that shit because they know it's bullshit and they know you don't belong there.
Damn. Oh, my heart. Langston, right, where do I belong?
We're going to take a break. We're going to let Chandra gather herself and her heart. We'll be back with more My Mama Told Me. And we are back.
Mom, do you ever feel, not so fresh?
Ew, no.
Yeah, we're back here with more Chandra Russell and more My Mama Told Me. We're still talking about the nefarious wants of these genealogy sites and what they plan to do with our DNA. So your brother took it.
My nephew.
Oh, your nephew and his mother took it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was your brother's response in sort of like finding this out? Because he's been left out of the equation to some extent.
Right. Well, certainly, that's a probably thing, y'all should decide on together, you know what I'm saying, before you go ahead and give the government access, okay? But like, we were watching because I'm staying actually with, that brother and his fiance and my nephew. And so we were watching together like some videos about this stuff. And like, as we're getting deeper and deeper to it, like my brother, he just starts getting quieter and quieter. And like, I'm like, yo, why you getting so quiet? He was like, damn, they got me. They got my shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then he's starting to kind of panic, a little bit. And then like, I'm like, oh my God, they got my shit. They got your shit. They got my shit. Oh my God. And then we like, my nephew, he's doing, online school. And so he comes down for his lunch, his little 30-minute lunch period or whatever. And we just like staring at him like,
Right.
man, dude ratted us out, bro.
Right. Now you in here resenting an 11-year-old because of a choice he made innocently that he wanted to just find out where he's from.
That's it. He just wanted to know his people. And also, let me put out there, me and my brother are not criminals. So why are we so paranoid? We didn't do shit.
You know who else wasn't a criminal? Sada Shakur. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of history of people not being criminals and ending up in positions where they are basically blamed.
She's still in Cuba. Baby girl can never come home.
Never coming home because in their mind, she's a criminal. They
and
just
it's on
decided
site with her. The government, it's on site.
Man, the person that they have posted up at the airport, cracking their knuckles, waiting for her to get off that airplane.
But I hope that person is just as old as she is, and they've been waiting all this time for her. Like, they've been waiting since the 70s and shit. They just dry cracking.
Get off the plane, bitch. You know
they
who it is.
Waiting, and as soon as they get her, they'll die. Like, that's all that's fueling their life force.
Sure. It's all they have left is punching Asada in the face. All right, let's get into this research. And I'm so excited that you came with your own research. But let's start with the basics of what you've sort of brought to us. It is true. It's 100% true. This is not even up for debate that these sites do, in fact, sell the data that they collect to third-party companies for genetic drug research. Mm-hmm. That's what you found as well.
Absolutely.
So 100% they are going off after you give them this DNA. They are selling this DNA to someone else for genetic drug research. Now, they claim that this is all part of the consent form that you sign when you join these sites, that's like written in the little small text of
that
all
they
the
know
things.
You ain't reading. You ain't reading
exactly.
Shit. You don't never read it. When your phone asks you some shit, you scroll right to the bottom and press yes. You don't read that agreement.
What kind of psychopath would read it?
Exactly.
So in talking about sort of this third-party sale, right, in 2018, GlaxoSmithKline, which is, I guess, a company, I don't know, announced a $300 million deal with 23andMe. That deal entailed that they can use the data to analyze the stored sample, investigate new drugs to develop, and genetic data for how patients are selected for clinical trials. So basically, they made a $300 million deal to directly get like whatever data comes out of the 23andMe.
Now, I didn't even know that. See, this shit go deeper than I thought.
Yeah. $300 million is what your DNA is potentially worth for these companies.
And you out here giving that, you paying to give that shit away.
Right. And they're telling you that it's for curing diseases and it's for basically like helping you become a healthier, making sure that the genetic stuff that's wrong with us doesn't continue in the future, blah, blah, blah. But how do we know that? What proof do we have that that's the research that they're doing?
I don't know.
That's exactly right. I don't know either.
Because they done had access, to this stuff for a little minute. I ain't seen no shit get cured. No, common cold ain't off the market.
Okay, now you're doing it. Oh, that's exactly right. Not one thing. You're telling me that over the decade now that you've been able to track my DNA and use it and then give it to these third parties to fix stuff. Not once have they come out and been like, hey, thanks to your DNA, ain't no more AIDS. We got rid of that.
I mean, motherfuckers ain't even cured eczema. Black people running around itching. Y'all can't even cure eczema with 10 years of my DNA, bro.
Yeah, that's all. And listen, that's all it, maybe for me, at least, I can't speak for your mother, but that's all it would take for me is for like you to be able to walk out and say, hey, no more are you going to have to put on calamine lotion. It is cured. It's over. You're free, eczema ridden people.
And never do it. I don't know. Look, my mom's a Taurus. Oh, you're also a Taurus. And she's very, stubborn individual. And I just feel like, I feel like she be talking about the same shit we talking about. Like, she had to look at it and be like, well, 10 years, y'all ain't cured not a goddamn thing.
Right.
No.
I'm good.
No.
Yeah.
shit, you put the bread in the oven, it don't rise. It's a problem. Like, y'all not doing nothing, you know?
Stop handing me this wet bread. I'm trying to eat.
Right. No, y'all sus.
Okay, here's where it gets even more sus, is that some people argue that having your genetic data stolen, which is a real issue that they're sort of dealing with right now, is the possibility of genetic data is sort of being taken, right, is more dangerous than having your social security number or your credit card stolen. That it actually like has way higher risk than anything else that we normally like worry about losing your passport and what that could mean. And they're saying like, no, your genetic shit could blow up your whole fucking world.
I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, that's your whole being. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
And look, okay, I know this is random, but I just had this thought, right? I'm like, damn, imagine all the voodoo that could be getting done to your ass too. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. That's where your brain went. That's fascinating. I like this.
I
So
know.
your instinct was not, oh, they're going to use my genetic data to potentially grow another version of me that like does some Will Smith Gemini man shit. You're saying, nah, they're going to like grow my genetic data and then like poke it with a needle and then I'm going to have a pain in my hip.
Now what I'm saying is that they going to do both and. Okay. You know, this is a yes and moment. I'm saying they is going to be doing that. It's going to be a bunch of you. You know, what they're going to be doing, all them versions of you, it's going to be sad. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be fucked up. You know, it's going to be like us times 32 million. Just a bunch of you fucked up somewhere. But also, I'm like, damn. Like, what if, okay, there's a carrier, right? Everybody's human, and they supposed to be taking that shit from one place to another. And what if they're drunk or high or something? You know, these are just humans, regular-ass people, with the most important shit you have. Oh, and the shit slip in their bag or something. Now they got your shit. It falls somewhere else. Basically, a voodoo person could get your stuff. You know? Somehow, some way, shit does get out.
Sure. And that's the challenge is like at the end of the day, we are handing our genetic DNA over to human beings. We're not handing them over to like these sort of like flawless creatures who are going to promise to do good things with them. So there's always the possibility that somebody gets drunk or high or is being a dickhead that day and gives my stuff to a voodoo priestess. And now all of a sudden I'm cursed forever.
Right. Or what if somebody just don't want to be the daddy? You know what I'm saying? You working there, you got access to all these, you know, spit swabs. You know, my man spit swab with yours.
Right.
And now we got a fucking problem because my man got this outside kid and I'm fucked up.
Sure. The dude who works on Maury is out here swapping out some spits so that you can get off and you ain't got to be responsible for that kid that looks just like you, even though the eyebrows match and all that.
Exactly. You know
I like
what I'm saying? I don't trust Maury ass either. Okay?
Maury, we know you're in on it. Maury, you silly bitch. We know what the fuck you're up to.
Maury is demonic. Okay. You got to watch all the balls. Okay. You got to watch everything.
I will say that Maury's ability to pretend to feel something after like 2 decades of like watching people cry over kids that either are theirs or aren't theirs it's pretty, it's psychopathic. It's like sociopathic level work that he's doing.
And I've been watching a lot since I've been here because my sister-in-law, like she watches TV like an elderly person. She watches like judge shows, Maury, you know what I'm saying? Like, so when you sit with her, it really is like being with an old person. And been watching Maury, and I'm shocked. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers is still going on here?
Yep.
With 7 people? Like, I don't know how much, but I feel like we talking about DNA tests. I feel like those little, DNA, they have to be like $20 at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want your DNA. They're thirsty for you to give it to them, like, so that they can use it for these nefarious purposes.
They've made it so that's all Maury does on his show at this point, and part of that is probably just collecting DNA. Maury is the Mark Zuckerberg of DNA, right? Mark Zuckerberg is collecting our digital DNA, and Maury's collecting our physical DNA.
Now, there's some people listening, and they laughing and, clowning, but look, could be a crackhead. Keep your eyes open.
Keep that eye open. Stop giggling, motherfucker, and do something.
Right. Shit. Maury's on your ass. Okay.
So here's the part that I think, even if we're going to skip past some of our current theories about voodoo and
We'll get back to the science.
yes, and the petri dish babies and all that shit. What has been proven is that hackers can use the data that they get from these DNA sites to monetize for insurance companies, and basically go to these insurance companies, make them pay big money for the information that they've collected, and then allow the insurance companies to then use that to deny you coverage or increase your premiums based on the information they find.
Dark.
Yes,
That's
it's
dark.
super fucked up.
You can't even like make a funny with that, like that's dark.
It's fucking crazy. So these insurance companies, basically, we benefit from our insurance not knowing anything about us, right? That like, as long as they don't know that like secretly my knee hurts every time I wake up, they then are meant to protect me at the time that I go to the hospital and say, hey, my knee hurts. But at the moment that they're able to analyze my DNA and realize that I come from a history of shitty knees, they then get to decide we're not going to cover anything relating to your knees or physical ailments because those are pre-existing conditions.
Well, I think we just, undid them collecting that for medical information so they can do some curing, okay? Because we saw the bread and rise, but we see what is changing. Them insurance policies.
Exactly. It's exactly right. And now here's where it gets even scarier. Furthermore, because these sites offer something called like predictive technology, where they're able to identify the likelihood of genetic disorders and diseases, insurance companies can basically like minority report you for the shit that might be coming in your genetic history or in your genetic future. You know what I'm saying?
You don't even give me a chance to defy my ancestry.
Hell no. Exactly. That's exactly right. They just go, nope, you have a small likelihood of having diabetes, so we will not cover you for anything related to something like that.
Damn. My son, shit, he already played because we got a lot of hypertension running through this family.
And your snitch ass nephew just ruined it for him.
Oh, he's so close to me too, right across that hall. Snitch ass.
He needs to hear this. Put the boy on the phone. I've got things to tell. No.
I'm about to pull his ass out of school. Excuse me, teacher. Excuse
Sorry.
me. No, the real learning. No, right
Sorry.
here, right here.
A comedian in Los Angeles needs to yell at him for 5 minutes real quick. He needs to get off.
These teachers don't care. They're so damn tired. They be like, take the boy by. Whatever.
Exactly.
But, well, so some of the research that I did was really like specifically getting to that criminal stuff because like my mom, like that was like her biggest thing about it. Like she was like, they're going to be splashing that DNA heavily on crime scenes. And so, when I was researching it, like they definitely did catch the Golden State Killer. Okay.
Yes.
Through this stuff. Now, look, I don't feel bad for dude, terrorized California, 70s and 80s, killed, raped, whatever, problematic. But the fact that they found this man through DNA from his third cousin that was sent to one of these genealogy websites, okay? The average American has over 800 third cousins. That means a person you never even knew could be snitching on you. You don't even know this person. 800, that's a lot of motherfuckers.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, we're all related to Genghis Khan somewhere down the line.
Down the line.
What the fuck? Like that, you're putting me in a position where like you said, a person that I have zero connection to potentially could be the reason that I'm going to jail for things that, if we look at the history of DNA in this country, have been proven to have been falsified for various reasons, right? That DNA is not 100% guaranteed to be like correct, and based on like crime scenes, there's all sorts of reasons why the DNA might be contaminated and keep us from getting the correct results from our research.
Absolutely. And there's just pure laziness, which happens often, and so like it could have been your whole cousin who did some shit, but you mad.
Yes.
Hi, I'm going to put you in prison for many years.
So I'm also glad you brought up the crime stuff, because these DNA companies, along with selling your DNA to these various research organizations, they are also now connecting with police organizations to basically directly feed DNA that way. And one of the things that the big fancy thinkers are worried about is that police are going to not only use this DNA to catch people like the Golden State Killer, which obviously is a person who's murdering, raping, doing awful sort of big crimes, but they're now going to start trying to do it for little crimes. Like they're going to be like tracking the DNA of people who like do minor shoplifting, but then put them in jail for long periods of time because they did the work. They found the person. So now they're going to be adding like major sentences for extremely minor incidents.
Y'all better stop throwing them little roaches on the ground.
Uh-huh.
Dispose of that little blunt piece, okay?
Yep.
Because they're going to be grabbing it and bagging it up and attaching you to somebody.
Exactly.
And now you going to prison for smoking a blunt.
You smoked the blunt. You ain't sell the blunt. You ain't even really enjoy. Maybe you didn't inhale like Bill Clinton, but all of a sudden you are connected to this crime permanently, and you are a person who is you're in jail for a drug offense because of what you decided to enjoy for a moment.
I mean, it's like at this point, is this even so heavily a conspiracy theory, or are we just speaking facts? You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, listen, I feel that way almost every week, and then somebody gets in my mentions, they're like, hey, you need to relax. I'm like, okay, that's fair, but
no. Foot on the gas. Don't listen to that person. They ass finna be connected by a blunt.
Exactly.
We out here trying to save lives.
Right. You going to blunt jail. Meanwhile, me and my people going to be free because we foot on the gas. We going as far as we need to take it.
Unfortunately, I will also be in jail because my nephew wanted to find out that he was Asian.
2%.
Travel to Japan and find his people or something.
I love it. Okay, so this is the last little piece of research that I think we should unpack, because I was mentioning earlier about the idea that they sort of use these things against you in terms of your insurance, but that's not the only way that they can use this DNA against you. One of the things that they've also started to do is to use these things against you in terms of your ability to buy houses or own land. In places like California, for example, it's legal to ask for genetic information in residential like real estate transactions. So you, in applying for a 30-year mortgage, someone could demand your genetic information and then deny you that mortgage because they think you won't live long enough to pay it all the way off.
Whoa.
Yeah. That like, you're probably going to die before we get all our money, so we just won't give you the house that you need to keep living.
And that's shady, because I feel like, historically, Black people have been relying on that for a long time, Mm-hmm. My mom got bills right now. She's like, shit, I ain't going to worry about them. I'm going to die before that's done.
Right. That's a scam Black people have been counting on for years.
Damn, they out scamming. Woo, the government always out scamming Black folks, and they always be talking about we the welfare queens. No, it's y'all.
Yep.
Goddamn scammers.
Y'all are constantly looking for a paycheck.
Wow.
Here's where it gets even scarier. There's examples of DNA also being the reason people are unable to get employed or get fired from jobs. For example, Republican Congress devil Virginia Foxx proposed this bill called H.R. 1313, which would not only require employees to see your genetic data, but it would also allow them to potentially avoid offering you health insurance or even fire you based on the data that they find.
Whoa.
It's heavy. All of it's heavy.
And you know what? And you really, of course, it's Virginia, a Commonwealth state. Damn.
Mm-hmm. And they're going out of their way to do this stuff. And the even scarier part, this is where your mom really is nailing the shit, is it's not as if this is all just like future shit, right? This isn't all just stuff that they're trying to do to us. There's actually a history of this already existing in the country. For example, in the 1970s, several states passed laws requiring genetic screenings for sickle cell anemia, which is basically like a Black disease. That's some shit that Black people primarily suffer with, right? And in this case, many people tested positive for sickle cell traits, but didn't have sickle cell anemia, meaning like genetically you're more predisposed for it, but that doesn't mean you have it or will have it. But they were then subsequently treated differently, both in their employment and insurance, because of the possibility that they might have it in the future.
I'm gonna tell you, see, and that is just so directly directed at Black people. Like you said, it is a Black disease. And I had to do like before I had, when I was pregnant, you have to do like some, they test your genetics and stuff to make sure that the baby is not going to have anything like really extreme or whatever. What's the likelihood? And so when I got my stuff back, my husband, he did have sickle cell trait, does not have sickle cell. I do not have sickle cell trait. But what I did have was a bunch of stuff that like Black people never really get, right? So see, that's what I'm saying. And the white, if I get mine back, it's gonna be like a white popping up. And so
there's a whole lot of Polish in there. It's coming.
Man, and it was like, and that shit was scaring me. It was like all this muscular dystrophy. I mean, it was like some really, really dark shit. And I'm like, so you over here worried about sickle cell? No, you need to be worried about what's going on inside some of these white genes, okay? Because that shit was scary. What is this?
And that's the scam, right? That's where it's truly a scam against Black people, is not that there's no benefit in knowing that you potentially could have sickle cell or carry this trait. The scam is they're only going to look for the shit and criminalize the shit that primarily attacks Black people. When the other stuff that primarily is hitting white folks, they're going to be like, that's common. It's normal. You'll be okay. You don't have it now, right? You good. Enjoy your work. Enjoy your insurance.
Yeah. This is really, really serious, You're gonna need aid from the state your entire life if you do this. But look, don't worry about it. We're worried about this sickle cell, what these Negroes are over here doing. This is a problem.
It's fucking nuts.
Woo.
But hey, at least your DNA is safe and sound with the government, and you don't have anything to worry about.
Oh my God. And you know what? And I'm like actively now campaigning against the situation because, I've joined my mother. And so I just really want people to know that, like, also scientifically, like, it is 100% like an estimate.
Yep.
Like, they basically, like, humans are 99.9% the same. And so basically they take these things called nucleotides, which I don't even, fully understand what they are.
Who does?
Exactly. But it's basically, it's like, it's the thing that can separate why some people are tall and some people are short. And so they just match this to a general area where, like, okay, a lot of people from Switzerland, I'm not saying it's true because I don't know, I'm just making shit up, are tall.
Yep.
You're tall. Okay, so your shit must go back to Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so like generic and bland. Like, do not do this. Do not give me your DNA. This is fake. It is not real. You are none of these things. Okay?
You ain't Swiss. People. Just stay the fuck home. Don't give them your DNA.
God damn it. Yes. Just be happy with your slave and sharecropping roots. Okay? That is who
I
you
love
are.
that. I love it. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back with more Chandra Russell and more My Mama Told Me. And we are back.
We're not going to let Joe Biden and Kamala Harris cut America's meat.
That's that on that. That's that on that.
Yeah, we're back here with more Chandra Russell, more My Mama Told Me. We're still talking about the fucking criminal work that these companies are doing, that the government is doing to work with them, and that the police are somehow in on. Everybody's trying to kill us, and that just seems to be, don't give them your spit. You think your spit is harmless. It is not. It's
Y'all
actually
better
super
swallow.
valuable.
Don't spit. Swallow.
And that's something I've been saying for years, even before I did this research. Y'all better swallow. Don't spit. Swallow.
That's when I run for office. That's going to be my campaign slogan. Y'all better swallow.
Just you on a poster with your thumb up. I love that. Okay, I want to play a game. We're going to play a game. And this game is a little something that I call, you better take your black ass back in the house.
In the name of white Jesus and all great white men who have come thereafter, I command our black nigger soul back to the depths of hell.
Okay, it's a fun game. As you know, as of late, a fair amount of famous black men have been coming forward as secret Trump supporters. You've got your Daryl Strawberries, your Ice Cubes, your 50 Cents, your Isaiah Washingtons from homophobic fame. All the people who are sort of have been living in what you would assume to be a world where they would support democratic views, or certainly at least liberal views, and supporting black people are now coming forward and saying that they've been Trump supporters all these years. The game that we're going to play, what I'm asking you to do, is to predict a few others who you think might secretly be sitting with some Trump ties in their pockets.
All right, it's going to take me a little moment. I really got to do some serious thinking here.
And it's there. I will say there is a consistency amongst the type of men that end up being Trump supporters. Outside of Ice Cube, he sort of surprised me a little bit, but it's a lot of pretty controversial figures. People who both have been highly celebrated and also are dickheads in some form or fashion historically.
Right. And so it's like you could go an easy route where okay, you would maybe say somebody like a Terry Crews, but I don't think so, because he's kind of sensitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
People who have come out for the Trump, you can't be a sensitive black person and be so pro-Trump.
Yeah, I almost think Terry Crews hits me more as a non-voter than he is, which also is gross and yucky and a bunch of the things that you could say it is. But he seems like somebody who's I just believe in love, and voting means that we are picking a person over another person, and that would mean that that person is less valuable, and I don't want to do that. And it's shut your dumb ass up, Terry, and vote for the man that ain't gonna put you in jail and cut your clit off. Stop.
Grease your ass up and vote. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I don't have much proof, but my spirit is telling me the baby.
Oh, whoa. Oh my God. The baby of all people. Tell me more.
I mean, he's complicated. He's controversial. He's punching people. His woman situation is mixy. Trump's woman situation is mixy.
Yep.
They both have a lot of hoe in them.
Yeah.
A disrespectful amount of hoe in them. And I know, the baby would never, probably wouldn't be grabbing pussies because he's very handsome as well. But the handsome motherfuckers do be grabbing pussies, so it doesn't matter. But just, I don't know, something about his energy. And, he just did that stuff with Kanye recently, the way he's aligning himself.
Yep.
And he always has struck me as a person who really doesn't give a fuck which way the tide is moving, like a I'ma do me type person.
Yes.
And that, them black Trumps, they're not go with the tide type people.
Sure. I think although it devastated me to hear his name as a possibility, I think everything you're saying is starting to make a little bit of sense. That at the end of the day, all the people who are sort of becoming these pro-Trump people have both a mix of controversy sort of cooked into their history and then an unwillingness to apologize for that controversy. And so what we're talking about is a person who, while I don't think is, at least in my little knowledge of him, is necessarily an evil human, right? At the end of the day, the shit that he did that was bad, he ain't going and being sorry, y'all, I fucked up. It's more
right.
The baby do the baby stuff. So
I slap dude.
Right.
I shot somebody in Walmart.
I murdered 2 people. And if I got to murder again, I'll do it and I'll still rap about it.
And didn't Donald Trump tell you he could walk down Fifth Ave and kill anybody he wanted to and get away with it? I'm just saying.
And that's just a ghost written baby bar as far as I can tell.
Ain't it though? And it's hot. That is a bar.
Listen, my man was spitting when he said it, and I like what's happening. You know who I was thinking about that I think potentially could fall into this category, and I'd be actually super surprised if he isn't, is Columbus Short.
Oh, absolutely.
Columbus Short, I was like, yeah, that he's got to be a Trump supporter.
Yeah. Yeah. And he also ruined what did he do, True to the Game? He ruined that classic hood novel in that movie.
Sure.
Bad casting.
I didn't know about either of those things, but
for those who know, I see you. I feel you. You were wrong.
That Columbus short ruined True to the Game, a classic hood novel and film, I guess now.
Yeah, they got a number 2 coming out, but let's not even talk about that. Woo, that's gonna be bad. But back to him in the Trump situation, absolutely, because he's also unapologetic.
Yep.
And why is he so crazy?
I don't know, but I once was doing an audition for a television show where we had to do stand-up, and Columbus Short was at the club where we were performing, and he went on stage and did like 20 minutes. He's not a comedian, by the way, but did 20 minutes of just like telling the history of his career, where he literally like walked through every job that he ever had in film and television, and then basically like berated all the people that fired him or accused him of being bad people, to the point there's no laughs, nobody's enjoying this experience.
No one's this.
Obviously, and to the point, it was his birthday, by the way. Why he's at a fucking comedy club in Burbank on his birthday doing this, who knows? But it was his birthday. They let him on stage. They let him do this shit. And it went so long and so far that at a certain point, the host of the show had to pry the microphone out of Columbus's Short's hands. Like that he had to fully pull the microphone from his hands. And then afterwards, I went on stage and I bombed. So, you know, I'll never forgive that nigga Columbus Short, and I believe he's a Trump supporter. That's all this is coming from.
Because you also have some personal ties to it. Well, he's also one of the, when visiting LA, was like one of the my first celebrity sightings was at this party, and he was there, and this was like years ago, like 10 years ago or some shit. And for me and my friend, it was like exciting because he wasn't yet crazy, right?
Yep.
And so, I mean, he was always crazy, but we didn't know he was crazy. And so it was like, oh shit, like we're really out here in LA, like. We just got off the plane, basically. We already out with celebrities. Like, we really thought we was doing some shit with old Columbus Short, old lame ass. And he was, like, really dancing and, like, by himself. And I feel like you always got to watch them, you know, and, like, dancing. You know, y'all can't really see, but doing some real serious dancing.
No, she's killing it.
So, exactly. And so he was doing that just, like, by himself. Yeah. And there was not, like, there wasn't a supportive circle around him.
No.
He just dancing.
Right.
And I'm like, dude's weird, bro.
Yeah, you don't have a great sense of what you are and what you mean to the community. If not only are you dancing by yourself with that kind of enthusiasm, but people don't even want to circle around you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we liked you because you could dance, and you are that awful that people are like, I don't even give a fuck if Columbus Short is dancing in a room.
Like, we're turned off. Like, we didn't come for this. We didn't come for your performative dancing in the middle of the floor. Like, okay, came to have a drink and meet some people. You know,
right.
Shit.
You're ruining the vibe, Columbus Short.
I have a vibe on another person.
I'm excited. This will be our closer. Give me your big closer.
Okay. This one sounds foolish, I know, but I'm going to say Young Buck.
Whoa.
Of G Unit fame.
Wow.
And let me tell you why, right? Okay. You know, it's always a random, not nearly as successful, you know, black that comes out. Like, I think, oh shit, I cannot think of his name right now. See, that's how irrelevant dude is. But there's like a producer who in the 2000s was very popping, and he was like at a rally, and Trump was saying his name but was saying it wrong. Damn, who was this guy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I hope it's not Jazzy Faye. I pray to God it's not Jazzy Faye.
Jazzy Faye is cool. And then right after this ends, I'm gonna find this dude. And if I do, y'all need to go back and edit and put his name in here. Damn it.
I hope here's who I hope it is.
It's Polo LaDon.
Oh, great. I love that.
It's Polo LaDon, because Donald Trump was like Polo LaDon, like the way he was saying his name. Polo is Polo here. It's
spelled the same way.
Right.
There's no accent mark.
He was tearing his name the fuck up. And I was so confused, you know, when I'm like seeing the stuff on Instagram. I'm like, well, why is everybody so upset? I don't know who the fuck he's even talking about. And then I'm like, then I'm reading the comments and I'm like, oh my God, Polo LaDon. Like, see, somebody has had better days.
Sure.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I feel like, I don't know, Young Buck kind of giving me them vibes. He's had some better days, a little random come up, maybe get a little buzz off your Trump support. Just weirdos.
I like that. You know why? Because Young Buck represents a person who has been hurt by everyone and everything that he invested in. He thought G Unit was going to be like the thing that saved him, and then 50 basically called him a hoe and like left him for dead, and the games laughed at him and they had their shenanigans together. But like at the end of the day, young Buck doesn't have anything. And much like these sort of frustrated whites who have attached themselves to Donald Trump, young Buck represents that same kind of thinking of like somebody who's just leeching on to a man who inspires the hopeless, who inspires the people with nobody.
Yep. Look, it was a long shot, but I think we have come to something with young Buckington.
Young Buckington is in fact a Trump supporter, and that's the rumor that we're going to end on. That's the rumor that y'all need to go home with and do your research to figure out exactly how to prove that we are correct about our accusations that are mostly unfounded and just rooted in people's personalities. What a great time, Chandra. This was so much fun. Thank you for doing the podcast.
So much fun and informative, and I think we should applaud Langston's amount of research. I didn't know you were such a studious character. I mostly just see you making laughs and old man skeet jokes, You got something going up in the knick-knock there.
Listen, you can be a pervert and a dude that hangs out at a library. Both of those things can be true. I
learned that today from you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, can you tell the people where they can find you? Any cool shit you got going on? Any of that stuff?
As soon as coronavirus is over, I'm going to be filming Southside Season 2, and then that's going to drop, and I'm going to be on that, and Langston's going to be on that, and it's going to be very, very good and very funny. So stay in your house, mask the fuck up, because I'm trying to go shoot. I need to get this bread, and I want to be back on TV. So think about me before you go out. Thank you.
Stop being selfish, you idiots, and let Chandra get back on TV, wear your mask, so that she can go film Southside Season 2, which is going to be so funny. She's great in the first season. You're going to want to see the second one. And as always, follow me on the Instagram and the Twitter at Langston Kerman. And please send us anything that you come up with, drops, theories, voice memos, artwork. We would dearly love to see all of it, and I'll even probably mention some of it on the podcast when you send it over there. So send it to mymammapod@gmail.com, and otherwise, bye bitch.